The black whale is here. DeepSeek has released its own open-source coding agent, and it could become one of the strongest alternatives to Claude Code and Codex. V4 Flash already performs close to Opus 4.8 on several coding agent tests. And V4 Pro is reaching Fable 5 territory while costing far less. But the model was only half of the story. Those results came from a special agent system that DeepSeek had not released publicly. Now it has. DeepSeek Harness can open a real project, edit files, run terminal commands, create a plan, use tools, and send work to subagents. And the whole project is available under the MIT license. So in this video, we'll see what DeepSeek Harness can actually do, how it helps V4 compete with expensive Claude models, how easy it is to run, and whether it can really replace Claude Code or Codex. Because DeepSeek is no longer offering only a cheap model, it is building the complete coding agent system around it. Before we look at the agent, we need one very simple distinction. The model is the brain. The harness is everything that allows that brain to work inside a real project. It gives the model access to files and terminal commands. It returns the results, keeps track of the task, and lets the model continue through multiple steps. This is why the same model can feel very different in two coding tools. When DeepSeek released V4 Flash, it said its public coding tests used a minimal version of DeepSeek Harness at the highest reasoning level. We could use the model, but we could not use the system built around it. That system is now public. So the first question is, how much performance does it unlock? The important story is not one exact benchmark score. It is how close DeepSeek is getting to models that cost far more. Across several coding agent tests, V4 Flash stays surprisingly close to Opus 4.8. It does not win every comparison, but it is clearly competing in the same class. V4 Pro goes further. On Terminal Bench, its published result is almost identical to Fable 5's listed score. It also performs strongly on software engineering, terminal, security, and tool use tasks. These tests do not all use exactly the same setup, but the larger picture is difficult to ignore. DeepSeek is reaching premium model territory while charging a fraction of the price, and the harness may be one reason why. A coding model does not only need to know how to write code. It needs to decide which file to open, which command to run, whether a result is correct, and what to do when something fails. DeepSeek can now design that entire loop around V4. The model and the agent can be improved as one system instead of being developed separately. That is what makes this release more important than another benchmark update. DeepSeek Harness is not just a benchmark tool. It is a complete coding agent with a local web interface. It can search and edit project files, run Bash or PowerShell commands, keep a terminal session open, create plans, manage to-do lists, use skills, connect to MCP tools, and track token usage. It can also create subagents and give them separate parts of a larger task. Imagine giving it one simple instruction. The agent can search the repository, follow the authentication flow, inspect recent changes, run the tests, and edit the relevant files. If the first fix fails, it can read the error and try again. For a larger task, one subagent could inspect the backend, while another checks the front end. The main agent could then bring their results together. This is the difference between asking a chatbot to generate a code snippet and asking an agent to complete a result. You are not copying code from a chat window. The agent is working inside the project with the files and terminal tools a developer would normally use. The harness also records the conversation, tool calls, and results inside the session. That helps it remember what already happened and continue longer tasks without starting again. So this is much more than a new interface for the DeepSeek API. It is the layer that turns the model into a worker inside your project. If you tried DeepSeek Harness, which part matters most to you? The lower cost, the subagents, or the open plugin system? Let me know in the comments. Getting started is surprisingly simple. Install Node.js, open a terminal inside your project, and run one command. This starts the DeepSeek Harness web interface on your computer. Then open Settings, add your DeepSeek API key, choose the project folder, and start a new session. You can select V4 Flash, then describe the result you want. The agent can inspect the project, create a plan, edit the code, run tests, and keep working through the task. There is also a headless mode. That simply means the agent can run without the browser interface, which is useful for automation and developer workflows. But the most interesting part is not how you launch it, it is how much of the system you can change. DeepSeek could have released another closed coding app. Instead, it published the harness under the MIT license. Almost every important part of the system is a plugin. The model connection, tools, file access, terminal, skills, approvals, context management, workflows, and subagents can all be extended or replaced. In simple terms, developers can inspect how the agent works and change the parts they do not like. They can add a new tool, connect a remote sandbox, create their own skills, change how subagents divide work, or connect a custom model endpoint. The official documentation also supports other model providers and OpenAI-compatible endpoints. So the harness is built by DeepSeek, but it does not have to remain locked to one DeepSeek model forever. Claude Code gives you Anthropic's finished system. DeepSeek Harness gives you a system you can study, modify, and build on. That creates room for a real community ecosystem. Developers can publish plugins, skills, workflows, and model integrations without waiting for DeepSeek to build every feature itself. DeepSeek is therefore opening more than a user interface. It is opening the agent layer between the model and the real task. The harness itself is free and open source. The DeepSeek API behind it is still paid. DeepSeek is also introducing peak and off-peak API pricing. Off-peak usage will cost half as much as peak usage, while V4 Flash will remain the cheaper model, and V4 Pro will be the stronger option for difficult tasks, even after the increase. That matters more for agents than it does for normal chat. A coding agent may call the model many times during one task. It reads files, processes command results, checks its own work, and sometimes retries after a failure. A small price difference becomes much larger when an agent works for an hour, or when a team runs several agents at the same time. The harness also includes token tracking, scheduling, and context management. These features could help users control spending and move automated work into cheaper off-peak hours. But the best measurement is not cost per token. A very cheap agent is not useful if it fails and has to repeat the task. The number that really matters is cost per useful result. And if DeepSeek can stay close to Claude while keeping its price advantage, that is where this combination becomes extremely powerful. DeepSeek now has a credible path to do exactly that. Claude Code and Codex are still more established. They have mature workflows, larger user communities, and far more real-world testing. But DeepSeek is attacking the same market from a different direction: capable open-weight models, low API prices, and now an open-source agent built specifically around them. DeepSeek Harness already has the core pieces: a web interface, terminal and file tools, permissions, plans, skills, MCP, subagents, automation, and a plugin system. If you already use the DeepSeek API, this may become the most natural way to use it for coding. The model no longer has to work inside a harness designed around another provider. If you want the most polished experience today, Claude Code or Codex may still be the safer option. But if price, openness, customization, or control over the complete agent system matters more, DeepSeek Harness may be the more interesting platform. There is one privacy detail to understand. Running the harness on your computer does not automatically make the model local. If you connect it to the hosted DeepSeek API, the project context selected by the agent is sent to that service. A fully local setup requires a compatible self-hosted model endpoint and enough hardware to run the model you select. DeepSeek Harness may be the release that turns DeepSeek from a cheap model provider into a complete coding agent platform. V4 Flash can already approach Opus 4.8 on several agent tests at a fraction of the price. V4 Pro can reach Fable 5 territory on demanding terminal and coding tasks. And now the system around those models is no longer hidden inside DeepSeek. Developers can run it, inspect it, add tools, create skills, use subagents, connect other models, and replace major parts of the agent stack. Claude Code and Codex are still more mature, but DeepSeek is no longer competing with them using only a model. It now has the model, the API, the agent loop, the interface, and an open plugin ecosystem. The black whale is no longer just answering prompts. It can now work inside your project. If this video helped you understand what DeepSeek actually released, leave a like and subscribe for more practical AI videos like this one.